All right, let's unpack this. If we look at nature, almost every animal behavior has, let's say, a brutal logic of survival. Hunting, hiding, defending territory.
Exactly. Not a single drop of physical energy is wasted without a serious reason.
Yes, totally. Evolution is super stingy. If an animal burns calories explosively, it's usually because their life depends on it.
Right. But then you look at a domestic dog. He's totally calm, and suddenly his eyes go wide, he tucks his tail and starts running in circles all over the room.
Yep, bouncing off the furniture.
Exactly. And all that supposed evolutionary efficiency just flies out the window. That's why in this deep dive, we're going to analyze the scientific literature on ethology and neurobiology.
To understand these fits of madness.
Those exactly. Technically, they're called Frenetic Random Activity Periods, or Fraps, and our mission today is to figure out why they have these sudden outbursts.
Because it turns out they're not just a system glitch or bad behavior. To understand the visual chaos, we first have to isolate the initial stimulus that ignites it. Often, it's simply accumulated physical energy after a period of confinement.
That makes sense. It's like that unavoidable physical need to stretch, shake, and walk fast after surviving a tense 3-hour meeting in a horrible chair.
What's fascinating here is how the domestic environment adds its own sensory triggers, and a classic one is the post-bath moment.
Ugh, yes! They take off like rockets.
Sure, because for a dog, being wet and smelling like, I don't know, lavender is a massive sensory overload. They run to use the air as a giant towel and thermoregulate.
Right, but they also rub frantically against the carpets to get rid of that shampoo smell and reclaim their olfactory identity. They're basically trying to erase the evidence that they were bathed.
But look, the literature mentions another trigger that honestly left me speechless. The so-called Puforia.
Oh, really?
I mean, dogs that go crazy and run right after defecating.
And it has a brilliant physiological explanation. By evacuating a large mass, a crucial nerve is stimulated, the vagus nerve.
I see.
This causes a sudden drop in blood pressure. And to compensate for that drop, the body suddenly releases a cocktail of neurotransmitters that generate pleasure.
So it's pure physical euphoria, and the dog only knows how to express it by running at maximum speed. They're literally running on physiological happiness.
Exactly. That physical stimulus, whether the bath or the vagus nerve, lights the fuse and the brain is flooded with chemicals pre-programmed by evolution. They suddenly burn off any excess cortisol and adrenaline they had accumulated, while the reward circuits are bathed in dopamine.
And I understand that the way they burn that energy varies according to genetics, right?
Totally. If you watch a herding dog, you'll notice their runs include long trajectories and sharp 180-degree turns.
Right, because they're genetically programmed to corner sheep.
And I imagine terriers bred to hunt rats are the ones who suddenly dig into the sofa with that crazy tenacity.
Yeah, it's like they're looking for gold. Genetics dictates the choreography of chaos, so to speak.
But wait, something doesn't fit here. So they're not full of energy. They're on a stress trip caused by extreme exhaustion.
That's right.
How do we know if it's healthy or a pathology?
Watch the body language. A healthy frap is fluid, the body is relaxed, and it ends naturally with panting. Let's hear it. If we're talking about releasing stored energy.
What about puppies at sunset? They've been playing all day, they should be exhausted. Instead, they seem possessed.
Ah, of course, the famous witching hour. Dogs have a crepuscular nature, but in puppies, something called paradoxical fatigue happens.
Paradoxical fatigue?
Yes, imagine a toddler who skipped his nap. The body panics, thinks it's an emergency, and spikes cortisol levels to keep them awake. They lose the ability to self-regulate. If the dog seems to be in a trance, chasing its tail obsessively or hurting itself, it's no longer releasing energy, it's trying to relieve paralyzing anxiety. We could be talking about canine compulsive disorder.
Assuming it's a healthy frap, never chase them.
Never. If you join the chase, the excitement spikes. Plus, there are risks like slippery floors and hyperthermia.
The intuition is a wet towel if they overheat.
Science shows you should have them voluntarily dip their head in cool water.
It cools the blood going to the brain instantly. Exactly. This leaves a massive question in the air. If mammals use this burst of erratic movement to reset the nervous system and purge accumulated stress, could there be a human version of the Frap, the modern society inexplicable forced to just run out of the office?
It certainly is. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode.
If you will see, remember to share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Take care of your companions and keep exploring the pet enigma.